This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Yeah, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason, what's going on, man?
Hey, John. Well, like tonight's subject is something that we haven't actually gone back to in a while, even though we've talked about like lots of times in the past. Yeah,
And
and
what
this
is
is
that?
Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. I like Star Wars. A little bit.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, so I think we've been talking a lot about what Boba Fett has been up to. It's like on his recent Disney Plus series, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, what he is or isn't doing.
Exactly. But yeah, but like with Fett, I mean, it's like he's always been like a big cult character in in the Star Wars mythos, like someone who he was kind of a man of mystery, or like a ruthless bounty hunter who always gets his man, and he finally got his time in the spotlight, such as it is with the Book of Boba Fett, to a certain extent, really. It means like when it's one thing to have your name in the title card of the show, it's another to have your have the spotlight in the show stolen from someone who is in a completely different show than you. Wink, wink. But Fett is also a big player in the current round of Star Wars comics because, well, I've talked a lot about that. What Marvel has done, it's like in assuming licensed Star Wars comics. Back when they were telling stories like in the post New Hope era. Well, things have changed now because they've since relaunched the entire line, and now things have moved forward to the post Empire Strikes Back era. So, and while some things haven't changed, because I mean we've still got like a Star Wars book that's focused on Luke, Leia, Chewie, C-3PO, R2-D2, and now Lando Calrissian. It's like there's also a new Darth Vader series. It's like and we've also got another Dr. Aphra series in the off I'm running as well as a Bounty Hunter series, which is a technically like a solo spotlight series for one bounty hunter from the old '80s Star Wars Marvel comic days of Baylor Valance. That's something I'll talk about in a bit, but basically, it's like this is a new era for Star Wars storytelling. But at the same time, though, it's like like there's like with all these titles going on, there's all one thing you can count on, and that's there's going to be a crossover, and that's what we have here with War of the Bounty Hunters, and it's masterminded by frequent Star Wars contributor Charles Soule, who like longtime readers will know, not has not only written the Poe Dameron ongoing series, but the second surprisingly entertaining Darth Vader series. It's like as well as the Lando Calrissian and Obi-Wan and Anakin series. Given Soule's involvement in the franchise, it's like it only made sense that at some point he was going to be offered the big brass ring of writing the main Star Wars title himself, which he is, as well as he's also being a contributor to the High Republic Brain Trust storytelling collective as well. But also, War of the Bounty Hunters is also basically it's something he's spearheading as well, because it's basically the story of what happened to Boba Fett after he tried to take Han Solo in carbonite to Jabba. So, because Jabba had that bounty out on Solo, and Fett, his favorite bounty hunter, was going to deliver. Problem is that it's never just a straight line from point A to point B in the Star Wars universe, especially in this case when you've got a crossover riding on you. So here we have the because the way the spine of this event, and if you're only going to buy one thing from this, well, assuming you're not already invested in the ongoing titles like I am, then you just need to buy the War of the Bounty Hunters miniseries, which is basically a Boba Fett showcase, because it's 6 issues, with the first being an alpha issue, illustrated by the great Steve McNiven, and he's bringing his very detailed Barry Windsor Smith inspired inspired style that he started in like the Return of Wolverine, like to this, and it's gorgeous. Even when in scenes where it's just like Fett talking to Bib Fortuna, telling him, yeah, Solo's on his way, and realizing that, oh crap, the carbonite matrix that Solo was frozen into is starting to disintegrate. So he's got to make a trip to the smuggler's moon of Nar Shaddaa to talk to a guy he knows about fixing it. Problem is, Fett doesn't have the credits on him, so he's got to fight some rounds in the arena while posing as another Mandalorian in all black, calling himself Django, because of course, and just getting enough credits in order to make things make things right. Problem is that and is that by the time he gets back to his guy with the credits, Solo is gone, and he's telling Jabba it's gonna be a minute. And well, this is this, I mean, like this first issue, like I said, it's a good setup, and it benefits greatly from McNiven's like incredibly detailed art. I mean, I wish he could have like drawn the whole thing, but it's like, because the thing is that while I like the artists who pick up from him, Luke Ross in the first couple issues, and then he's joined by David Messina in the last couple. It's like they're not quite on the same level as bringing like the impressively cinematic levels of detail that Niven does. But the thing with like the rest of the series is basically all about like the organization that stole like Solo and Carbonite from Fett, and the reasons why they're doing this. Now, I'm not sure if I want to give away this organization, but at the same time, it's been like close to 6 months since this was revealed. But basically, who here has seen Solo? Raise your hands. Okay, yeah, it's like not a whole lot. Well, the thing is, Soul has basically saw the movie, and like me, it's like he liked it. It's like, and in fact, he looked at this and like, hey, you know what? Like, because the general public didn't really like Solo, I think I can probably bring in a whole bunch of stuff from that movie into this miniseries in order to surprise everyone by the fact that, whoa, man, Solo is like more important to like the current Star Wars canon than I had expected. So, not giving too much away. Yeah, Solo, very important to this miniseries, and you're probably going to go out and want to watch it now. In fact, you should go out and watch it because it's not nearly as bad as its reputation would suggest. In fact, it's actually pretty good. Like, and I'm sure John has some thoughts about this that he'll want to chime in on at the end as well. But basically, War of the Bounty Hunters, like the core miniseries, is basically Boba Fett's no good, very bad day, as he has to go up against this organization that has Solo, and in order to get him back to appease Jabba. Jabba, who is really not happy about this, because he's also put out a bounty on Fett, because he believes that Fett actually went and sold Solo to this other organization. So yeah, it's especially like a miniseries like this. It's generally all about Fett finding himself at a disadvantage, but also finding ways to outsmart or outfight all the people like who are like that he meets. And this includes like every one of the current like all the people who currently have their own like Star Wars like series. Like he basically meets up with Dr. Aphra and her ex son Staros in order to like hopefully try and set up a distraction during the auction that's going on, only to be foiled when he runs into Leia, Chewbacca, and Lando. It's like, oh, but things also take a turn when Vader shows up at the auction and starts fighting the leader of this organization, and wants to use Solo as bait in order to get into a fight with like Luke Skywalker, so he can finally bring his son into line with his own ambitions. It's like, oh, but then there's also like Baylor Valance, cyborg bounty hunter, who was used to be friends with Solo back in their Imperial Academy days, but now wants to like do a solid for his friend who once did a solid for him. It's like way back in the day. So like basically this miniseries, it's like basically the spine of the story here. And while there are like bits of the like in other series that basically like expand on like certain scenes in here. Like if you're wondering, it's like just what was going on with like Vader and Luke's X-wing fight. Well, that's expounded upon in both the Darth Vader and the Star Wars tie-in issues as well, and also like the it's like with the concussive blast that knocks out the Millennium Falcon as well. It's like there's like I said, there's a lot of stuff that you can that expands upon it, but it's not really necessary reading. Basically, War of the Bounty Hunters is basically all about Fett, like dealing with all of the many challenges that he encounters over the course of this miniseries. And well, it's like how things turned out because, well, I'm assuming that everyone here has seen Return of the Jedi, so you know how it goes. But I do think that it's a solid like story that's like tenacity and creativity. It's like even if I think that like a lot of some of the surprises were probably like were more towards the front of the series, like particularly in spotlighting its involvement with Solo, as opposed to the rest of the series. Because but still, I tend to like Soule's work as a writer. I've described him in the past as ruthlessly competent, in the sense that he can do a story that makes sense, and like you're like, hey, like I understand all the logic of this, and like it flows together perfectly. Does it actually surprise some parts? Well, not really. I mean, there are some parts like in this, like he's a writer who can count like to deliver like satisfying stories, maybe not stories that generally surprise me. Like it's telling that like some of his best stuff is just occurred in the margins, such as the Future's End story that capped off his run on Swamp Thing in the DC in the DC universe, and also like his he did like 5 volumes of like Poe Dameron solo series. But the best part about that series was the Imperial Intelligence Officer Terex, who was at one point foil and at one point tragic counterpart to the main character, which hey, you figure like Poe Dameron would be the most interesting story character in his own series, but that wasn't quite the case. War of the Bounty Hunters, pretty entertaining, but it's more of like a solid showcase. It's a solid showcase for Fett, but I wouldn't say it's like something that I would say that, hey, you know what, if you want to start reading Star Wars comics from Marvel, this is what you need to start with. No, the bar is still Kieran Gillen's Darth Vader series. So there you go. But this one, not too bad. Also not too bad is Greg Pak's Darth Vader tie-in issues. Because basically we're all in the tie-in issue stuff from here on out. And the problem, I will say that all these have like certain problems. Basically the fact that if you haven't read the main miniseries, there are certain story beats that you're going to miss with like if you only read the tie-in issues. Some of the writers do their best to compensate for that. I think that Dr. Aphra does probably the best in that regard. But Darth Vader, it's like is still reasonably solid. In fact, it picks up directly from the second volume, where Vader like once again learned his place in relation to the Emperor's power, and also picked up an interesting sidekick in Ochiev Bastoon. He's an assassin who, well, it's like he's kind of good at what he does, but at the same time, he realizes that Vader is the boss of me right here. So he's basically like someone who's like he's got skills, but he's also like craven and sniveling enough to realize to basically like acknowledge that, hey, it's like I'm behind you, Vader, all the time, as long as you realize that you're the best. And it's fun seeing Pack play that up play that up here, and also just how he puts Vader through the paces in terms of like realizing that, oh well, like this new organization, well, like there's a new threat here, and Vader is like kind of on the back foot about finding out just what their skills are, like what exactly what their range of power here is. And it also ties into his connection with the Hutts, specifically on Boku, who is basically like Jabba's rival, like in the Hutt syndicate. It's like, but Vader also has his plans for him. But the thing is, like, Boku is also serving two masters, and that's definitely not a position you want to be in when it comes to facing off against a Dark Lord of the Sith. It's like, and there's also Administrator Moore, or rather Sub Administrator Moore, when it's revealed, like that their plans are like for dealing with Vader, because they realize Moore realizes that it's basically all about supporting the Emperor, and they don't believe that that Vader is the best candidate for doing that. So they've got their own contingent of power that they want to. They're trying to secure in order to fight against Vader. Problem is, our own Darth Lord realizes that, and so does Ochi of Bestoon. So this series, these tiny issues are all about that, but at the same time, it's like it doesn't quite cohere into a fully solid story. I mean, you get the general idea of what he wants to do in terms of recognizing what Administrator War was trying to do. And also just what Vader was being directed to do in terms of this arc, especially like the bits at the end when he's ordered by Emperor Palpatine to subdue the Hutts as opposed to outright destroy them. So it's on one hand, it's not as good as the previous volume, which basically did a good job of showing Vader struggling, against a power that he was arguably superior to his own. But and it also doesn't have the same weaknesses in the sense that because Pack is over the previous two volumes, he's had this weakness where he's just citing to the text of the movies, both the original trilogy and the prequels, in order to support his interpretation of Vader's actions. He doesn't quite succumb to that to the degree of as he does in the previous two volumes, but it's still kind of there. But at the same time, it's kind of it's not as bad as the first one, yet not as quite as good as the second one. So it's a decent enough volume, but not something you're going to want to read if you're not invested in it already. And in fact, the same can be said of Dr. Aphra tie-in issues for this volume as well. Because while the second volume of Aphra did a good job in setting up all the characters of this of the series, for the for these bounty hunter tie-in issues, it's I don't know, it didn't quite have the same energy or focus as the second volume did, because basically Aphra has been tasked with finding out what one of Dominatage's cousins has been up to. Problem is, when she gets there, she finds out that not only have they been partially eaten by aliens, there's also a big old bounty hunter who's got his own plans for the for the situation as well. So but the thing is, when she gets there, she finds out that he was also given an invitation to the big solo and carbonite auction this organization has had planned. It's I just want to say I'm proud of myself for not giving away the name of this organization yet. I mean, this podcast isn't over yet, so there's still time that I could, but we'll see how that goes. But Aphra, so Aphra and her ex Son Saros had basically decided to go and to attend this gathering. Problem is that Aphra's new frenemy for this series, Just Lucky, and his buddy Areole are also headed there because turns out that one of the like key figures in the crime syndicate they're part of, the Sixth Kin, has also decided to defect this organization, and now they've been ordered to take this guy out. Well, it's like stuff happens. Aphra is almost press ganged into helping out Boba Fett. She has a panic attack when Vader shows up, and her plan to rob it's like the head ship of this organization goes badly. But it's like that she eventually manages to get get free along with her friends, and they're going to try and rob things only for for things to go badly, and they encounter one of the organization's big assassins. But Aphra gets her hands on an ancient Sith artifact of incredible power, and before it can completely overwhelm her, she manages to get everyone out. But not also before just completely screwing over Just Lucky and Areole, because hey, she's still bitter about how he left left her to die in the first volume. It's like this third volume of Dr. Aphra does continue the the fun antic craziness that the second volume offered, which I think was a great surprise, because after the first volume felt like a real ticking of boxes by new writer Alyssa Wong, she really quit herself much. She quitted herself much better in the second volume, and this third volume isn't quite on the same level, but it's still got a lot of fun moments here, and especially at the end when Aphra realizes that, oh wow, this organization has got their hands into everything. Oh, and well, she doesn't realize this. We also realize that maybe that ancient Sith artifact that she used, well, it may actually have its hooks in her a lot deeper than she initially realized. So there's that. I feel good about this volume's feature, and I even have some more to say about its feature as well, because it turns out one of the tie-in issues has some also has some real connections to the series as well. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you see the Boosh tie-in collected in Volume 4. In fact, you should see it because it seems like it's going to be really important. More on that later, because next up is the third volume of Star Wars proper, and it's also by Charles Soule, because the guy's shown in the years that he can write really fast, write a whole lot, but also maintain a relative standard of quality as well. So, in case you're wondering, do you need to read his issues of Star Wars along with War of the Bounty Hunters? Well, like I said, it's not so much that you do, but just the fact that there's a lot of beats in each series that that are expanded upon in the main miniseries. This one, well, I don't know, it's got a lot of solid stuff. I mean, the first issue basically spotlights Kes Dameron. I'm talking about how he met his wife Shara Bay, and how she's still stuck on the Star Destroyer that they were lost, that she got stuck on in the previous volume. And then also how Luke is goes with Chewbacca, C-3PO, and R2-D2 to Nar Shaddaa to follow up on that sighting of Boba Fett from the Alpha issue of War of the Bounty Hunters. After that, it's a lot about everyone just trying to figure out, okay, well, we know where Solo is being auctioned off, and we're going to try and figure out just how we can get there. It's just Leia realizing that she's got to put her faith into Lando Calrissian to get her involved in this auction. Thing is, while Luke also has to deal with some Starlight Squadron business before he can join them. In the auction as well. So there is a lot of stuff here that's connected to the main miniseries, but I wouldn't say it's necessary that you read either or both. like I said, it certainly helps, but it's not necessary. It's like what's here is pretty solid, but I can't say it's any better or worse than what I've been reading from Soule over the course of the previous two volumes. It's solid. It's solid, entertaining stuff, but it's not a lot of surprises or anything else. I will say that the final issue is interesting in the sense that we've got the leader of this organization coming face to face with Leia, which is interesting because hey, they both love the same man, and Soule tries to square that in the terms of overall store's continuity. That's nice. Nice. In fact, listen, one of the things I like about this series is that the continuity between all of the various ongoing series and the main title, flows pretty well. There aren't any real contradictions where I thought that, hey, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't this happened in this series and but it doesn't happen here. So yeah, it's kudos to all the writers for coordinating that. But at the same time, like I said, I can't say that there's lots of surprises here, and that also goes for the last series I'm talking about, and that's Bounty Hunters. Because let me tell you about this. War of the Bounty Hunters, Star Wars, Dr. Aphra, and Darth Vader. Well, I'm all buying in physical volumes. Bounty Hunters, I just read as it comes out on Marvel Unlimited. Because I thought that, well, gee, it's you're doing a series about Baylor Valance, the cyborg tryhard of Star Wars. Okay, well, and it's written by Ethan Sachs, this guy who's done, okay but not great, series. Yeah, I think I don't need to pay money for that. At least any money that I pay as far as maintaining my my Marvel Unlimited subscription, and that's true here because. The thing is, I mean, I haven't written about Bounty Hunters on the blog, but it's basically Baylor Valance series, and he's basically I think a cyborg. He wasn't initially a cyborg. He was initially a haughty it's entrant into the Imperial Academy who don't believe he was destined for greatness, but things didn't work out that way for him, and he was shot down and had to have some of his fleshy bits reworked as mechanical. Solo saved him from being killed outright when he was shot down, but Valance just always harbored a certain resentment against that, even though he eventually came to realize that, hey, it's Solo saved me. It's so I want, and that's kind of the feeling he's harboring here when he finds out that Solo is being, put up for auction by this organization. So once he and Dengar from one of the bounty hunters from Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back. Once Dengar finds out, where Solo's being held, well, he basically is forced to hook up with him, and they go to Nar Shaddaa in order to try and rescue him. Things go badly because not only does he meet up with Chewbacca and C-3PO and R2-D2, who are trying to this is before the Star Wars tie issues. It makes sense actually. It's if you read them in the recommended reading order, which is on Marvel Unlimited. But hey, I'm not saying you have to, but there is a recommended reading order for these things. But the thing is, he as Valance is trying to convince the people who should be his friends that he is actually their friends. Well, he also encounters with one of the assassins for this organization known as Death Stick. So half of his arc is basically dealing with working with Dengar. It's and I'm trying to avoid this assassin Death Stick, and the other half is dealing with Boba Fett. It's because once they finally get to the planet where the auction is being held. Well, turns out that Valance is just in time for the Imperials to have taken Solo into possession and taken off to the Executor, the Super Star Destroyer. And but thing is that Fett, well, he's got a plan to get Solo back at this point, and Valance is just kind of like, fine. It's like, I don't trust you, Fett, but I'm gonna but since you're my only choice, I'm gonna go along with that. Now, let me talk about my problems with Valance, because on one hand, it's like, it's like a cyborg bounty hunter. That sounds pretty cool, because I am that kind of guy, I guess. But at the same time, Valance has always struck me as kind of like a try-hard in the way he's been portrayed. That the writers who've written it with him, I think Robbie Thompson and right now Ethan Sachs, basically just trying to present him as that kind of the grizzled, it's like bitterly sarcastic kind of guy who's just like always, his back is always against the wall, but he's always like willing to fight in order to get out of the situation he's stuck in. And you know what? That's never flown with me. Like, I look at what the situation that Valance always finds himself in, and it's like, good lord, this guy's have the worst luck. It's like in the universe. I mean, he's just kind of like the hard luck hero. He's kind of like Spider-Man. He should be written like Spider-Man in the sense that he's just like dealing with like all these bad, awful things that happened to him, but he's got this kind of like sense of humor about these things. I mean, I'm not saying he should be Spider-Man. If anything, he's more like Bruce Campbell. Like, this is the role that needs Bruce Campbell more than Bruce Campbell needs it, really, because we just need someone who is just has a fun, sarcastic take on all the awful stuff that happens to him, but at the same time, what we're actually getting is just someone who's just who the writers just kind of realize it's like bad things happen to him, but he just continually tries to do the right thing, and that makes him cool, right, kids? No, it does not. In fact, it just feels kind of like straightforward and unsurprising. That being said, it's like none of the the issues of bounty hunters made me want to start reading this in physical form. That being said, the final issue tie-in for the War of the Bounty Hunters, we find out that Valance has a significant change in status quo, but will it result in anything interesting? Yeah, I don't know about that, but I will keep reading it on Marvel Unlimited. So yeah, I am going to keep reading Bounty Hunters for free, for a certain definition of the term, on Marvel Unlimited. If you've got Marvel Unlimited too, then sure, go ahead and check it out at some point. Not saying you have to, but it's there if you want it. So, but hey, you know what? Because this is a major Star Wars event, that is not all that that this series that we've got to offer here. Because there are also tie-ins. I would say lots of tie-ins. No, there aren't really. There are only 4. There was there's Jabba the Hutt issue. There was Zuckuss and 4 LOM. There was Boosh, and there was also IG-88. If you're going to read any of them, then the only ones you would really need to check out are the Jabba the Hutt tie-in and Boosh. Boosh specifically, if you're reading Dr. Aphra as well, because that is being written by Dr. Aphra writer Alyssa Wong. And I get the feeling that the events of that issue are going to be pertinent to Dr. Aphra at some point. Because, it's basically talking about the bounty hunter Boosh. If you're wondering, who's Boosh, man? It's like, why do I even need to care about this guy? Well, for you Star Wars fans, Boosh is the name of the bounty hunter whose identity Leia assumed in order to infiltrate Jabba's palace in Return of the Jedi. So there you go. But if you're wondering about what this bounty hunter was like before Leia went and assumed his identity, well, it turns out that he was in a Umban, and it's like he or they really, we don't actually know their gender. It's like are it's like we're basically like um exiles from their planet for crimes that they were deemed to have been committed by the planet's ruling body. Bush and their friends are all working together, and they've got a good solid family compact between them, right up to the point that the organization that's been masterminding the events of this event basically tell them that they want the Tage family eliminated, and they've also got information on when all the members of the Tage family are going to be together so they can take them out. Chief among them being Domina Tage, who is the leader of the collective, and yeah, hey, if you've been paying attention, she's also basically Aphra's master, at this point in time. So while all this miniseries is basically about the family ties that bind Bush and their fellow exilees. Well, it's also about Domina and her family, and also just showing us the reader, what the rest of her family are like at this time. And well, without giving too much away, Domina is much more clever, and well, she's exactly as clever and resourceful as we have we would assume her to be. And so when we get to the end of the issue, and we see that she's basically dictating terms to her attackers, well, it's not all that surprising. And basically I'm interested in seeing how this is going to work out for future issues of Dr. Aphra. In fact, I would not be surprised if this issue was included in Volume 4 of Dr. Aphra. It also features some nice art from David Baldeon, who, no discredit to Minkyu Young, who does the art for most of Dr. Aphra. I gotta admit that Baldeon is pretty solid. I wouldn't mind him, competing if he continued the series full time, because he seems to be able to do a book a month. In fact, the art of the series for all these series is pretty solid. Just to digress a bit, Star Wars had Ramon Rosanas for all seven issues, and if he's not especially flashy, he's quite good with having the storytelling. Like I said, Miku Young is pretty good with overall the detail and the storytelling with Dr. Aphra, and Federico Sabatino does a decent job with the villain issue, even if he's probably just a bit more comic than I expect. And the Darth Vader stuff, after an issue featuring some solid fill-in work from Guiu Villanova, it turns back to regular artist Rafael Ainco. It's pretty good work there as well. Again, only the main series suffers because, man, Steve McNiven is a great artist, and anyone else that you put up against him is gonna kind of suffer. But at the same time, I realize that McNiven is basically, he's not a book a month guy. No, he is not. So Luke Ross and David Messina do deserve credit for being able to to deliver the rest of the miniseries in a timely fashion. But getting back to the one shots, the Jabba the Hutt issue was also important because it introduces another bounty hunter, Deva Lompop, who apparently she's in debt to Jabba for very specific reasons that we don't find out here. It's according to writer Justina Ireland, but it's a kind of debt that basically can't be paid off in straightforward terms. No matter what she does, it seems that Jabba is always going to be able to call in on her marker. Especially in this case, when he finds out that one of his one of his subordinates has gone rogue, and he also needs to have her team up with Boba Fett in order to take this guy in. And in fact, that's the flashback sequence. The present day sequence basically involves her finding out what Fett was up to on Nar Shaddaa, and basically, leading up to the fact that leading up to Jabba declaring the bounty on Fett. So in terms of actual relevance to the mini series, Jabba the Hutt and Bush are the ones you want to read. As far as the Zuckuss and 4LOM and IG-88 miniseries, IG-88 is mainly has a lot of ties to the Darth Vader tie-in issues, where Vader faced off against him to very bad effects for IG-88, and it's kind of it's basically a whole issue of that. Well, it's half of an issue of IG-88 being repaired by ambitious cyber repairmen, and half of the issue basically with IG-88 trying to figure out what does he want to do, even after he's rationalized himself to being one of the best bounty hunters in the business. It's all right. It's written by Rodney Barnes, who also did Philadelphia, which was an okay series that didn't quite live up to its potential for me. In fact, I think both of its volumes are still sitting in my to-sell pile, which may actually be sold by the time you're listening to this. But overall, it's not something even though it takes place close to the end of the miniseries of the event series, it's something you're going to want to check out. That's something that's really important to the overall story. Same goes for Zuckuss and 4LOM, which is probably the closest the series comes to having an actual continuity issue, in the sense that it asks you to assume that after Boba Fett's encounter with Zuckuss and 4LOM in the first issue of War of the Bounty Hunters, he flew to Tatooine, chucked 4LOM's head in the sand. Then 4LOM's head was rescued by a member of the Syndicate who had a grudge against Zuckuss and 4LOM, and then he turned 4LOM into a killing machine that was meant to take out Zuckuss. It requires a lot of goodwill in order to assume that stuff works. It's the series, like I said, I believe the series does have a lot of good, really solid continuity management to it. This is the part where it's just kind of whoa, man! It's you're kind of pushing things here, and it does have some fun dark humor, in the sense that Zuckuss is looking for some companionship as he heads into a bar to drown in sorrows. And one of the monkey aliens is all about cutting off limbs and all. So as he hears Zuckuss's tale, and it's not bad, but I read this for free on Marvel Unlimited, so there you go. And that's it. That is the end of that's everything that was written for the series. And like I said, for those of you who aren't invested in the current state of Star Wars, and you just want to know, hey, what's this War of the Bounty Hunters about? Hey, why is how is Boba Fett so relevant to it? Check out the main War of the Bounty Hunters miniseries. It's fun. It's solid. I wouldn't say it's a relatively portrait of the bounty hunter, but it's a good solid tale. It basically shows you his resourcefulness and ruthlessness. And it's probably a good deal more focused than his TV series. Actually, it does not, however, feature him running a rancor in order to subjugate his enemies. So it's got that going against it.
Yes, you don't want that spoiler.
I'm just throwing out hypotheticals here, man. Yeah, but as far as the other series, all the other tie-in issues go, they're they're fine. They're good. You're going to want to keep reading these, but I will say you're probably want to also pick up the main miniseries, because there's also lots of story beats included in there that will make them more coherent and all.
Yep.
But yeah, it's as far as Boba Fett stories go, I don't know. It's this one, I think that Boba Fett does he work better as a solid bounty hunter, just like going after his target, rather than like a guy trying to transcend his limits and be a crime lord to a certain city and all.
Guess a little time will tell.
Yes, it will. I don't know. It's like if anything, is like I kind of like reading. I think that this kind of story kind of has like more potential for it's like for the character, even though it's like I'm wondering, where do you go after you just like set up roots, and like what are you gonna do here from now on, especially if what you were doing was just kind of like more violent and unfocused than anything else. I don't know. That's just me. What about you, John?
Good questions to ask. I don't know either. Yeah, I guess we'll just have to sit and wait. So, do you know what you're going to be talking about next time?
Next time, I think I'm going to be talking about werewolves and werewolves as it's like as moonshiners. Specifically in the series Moonshine by Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Arisso. So it's another Image series that wrapped up a little while ago that I've been wanting to talk about for a little while. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. All right. Well, hey, we'll catch you next time on Common Picks by the Glick.
All right. Laters, everyone.